I really dislike squatting while facing the deep freezer as I am now. I've mentioned it before, but the garage floor has a little bit of a slant, and when I face the freezer, I'm squatting facing uphill, which means my toes are higher than my heels. Makes it very difficult to squat. So you might ask why. Well, my question is, why do people stretch? You place yourself at your end range of motion, your most vulnerable position, your weakest position, and you spend time there. Some people add load to that with weight. They do repetitions, etc. Let's see. How do you move up in the job field? You come into, say a restaurant. You may come in as a janitor, very low level. All of the other employees have seniority over you. They've all been there longer. They all have higher positions than you. And you're at a major disadvantage when it comes to moving up. But what you do is you outwork everybody. And before you know it, say you have the most work out of everybody there as the janitor. Let's say you work that job for 2 years. The manager notices that, and they move you to a shift lead or something like that. And the workload is less here, and you've been pulling more of a workload the last 2 years, and all of a sudden the shift lead is a much easier job. Before long, you're assistant manager. Next, you may be the manager, and you keep up with it. And I believe this was mentioned on a Jocko video, Jocko Willink, or maybe I read it somewhere. But if you want to move up in a job, in an occupation or whatever, you have to start doing the tasks of the position that you want before you are ever granted that position. So as an assistant manager, try to do manager roles. Try to step up a little here and there, and put in a little more work than what you should have to, or what you are required to. A disadvantage becomes an advantage. All the work that you put in that you don't have to, maybe picking up everybody else's slack, it's a major disadvantage when you're trying to live your own life and you have your own things to do. But in the end, I think it plays out as an advantage. You suddenly, 15 years down the road, everybody else may still be a waitress. Not that a waitress is a bad job, but I'm trying to it's like the restaurant totem pole is the easiest way to, kind of present this idea. But 10 or 15 years down the road, these people are still working as a waitress. And here you are, now moved up into a corporate position. And that's because, everybody else piled their work on you, and corporate seen that, and they studied that. So why squat facing the freezer? Well, it places my body in a very uncomfortable position. It is sort of forced into a stretch, and the body adapts. So I place myself in a position that's very uncomfortable and frequent it. Before long, the body gets used to it. I feel like I've got a decent barefoot squat right now. The butt wink is there today a little bit, but I went for a 2-mile run yesterday. The calves are kind of tight. Glutes are sort of fatigued. And I pulled a 9.5-hour day today, so the body is, tired again. But, what if I came in here and only practiced squatting in Olympic lifting shoes? My ankles would never hit that full range of motion, And whenever I, would be forced to squat barefoot, I guarantee you that my form would be much worse than if I practiced squatting barefoot all the time. It's really all I got for today, is that a disadvantage becomes the advantage. You place your body in a disadvantaged position long enough, and before long, it becomes normal. Those end ranges of motion are now comfortable. Your body is very fluid and smooth moving through these particular ranges of motion, and you're a lot stronger. Mark Bell has a saying, strength is never a weakness and weakness is never a strength. I think that's a pretty powerful statement, but it can be applied, anywhere in life. In the job field, you name it, in school. Imagine you're in school or whatever, pulling 40-hour weeks on top of school, grinding away. While you're in school, you may think, this ain't worth it, blah, blah, blah. It may come up with a bunch of excuses to drop out, lower your hours at work or whatever. But maybe you have to work 40 hours a week to make rent or something. But in the end, you graduate a year earlier than what you needed to. And now you have, one more year that you can work full-time, maybe overtime, and dedicate all your resources into work and maybe moving up into that position. You see, you got to think about the long term. Short term, it doesn't make sense to place yourself in a bad spot. But long term, it plays out to work better for you. But that's all I got for today. Catch you tomorrow.